I've been trying to move a star since I've actually moved a bunch of clouds and made clouds disappear. And I'm realizing that the reason it's harder for me to move a star is because just like any vibration, it gets more diluted by the time the wave or ripple gets to the faraway point. Just like any noise fades away, just like any whatever fades away. So basically, the effect of that is it would take more focus and more time in this time space to send my thought all the way out to moving a star compared to a cloud, because it's way farther than a cloud. It just isn't, well, at least we think so. Maybe it's just as close, but we don't know. I don't know yet, because I don't know how close a star is, because it's physically projected by someone else's mind in a group consciousness that makes it stay there. So what I need to do is maybe read astrology and see how far away stars are. That'd make it easier for me to ask for project to other planets. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into that stuff, because that brings my reality to a different spot. And when my thoughts are dinging around in all those different spots, like, it creates weird things in my life. And say the more weird stuff I do in the outside world, they start appearing in the physical world. And I don't want to make weird stuff appear. I don't want to picture aliens, and I don't want to see stuff like that unless I see them on a TV screen, because that's almost like dumbed down. Like, it's not dumbed down. I'm not saying that in a bad way to anything. Like, stuff like plastic that we use to make phones, and we make stuff like that. Hey, deer. There's 3 deer crossing the road. Like, the plastic that we use to make phones and things like that, those are inanimate, and the intention of someone else puts it in the first one. At that point in time, all the plastic and all the whatever that is used for the phones is sort of sitting there at a lesser being. So what does it need to do? It needs to get killed, basically cut down, chopped down, melted, diluted, and it needs to be moved on to its higher vibrational form, which at first is concentrated into a thing, and it's really alive as this liquidy mixed with water, and then they heat it and they cool it. When they cool it, it freezes them, frozen in suspended animation, freezing them. And then what it does after that is it takes them frozen and it puts them into a thing where you can set intention into it, basically. And then as you set intention to those seemingly inanimate objects and set intention to their particles that haven't really had any information given to them in a while, the person who believes that they're going to turn into that thing uses that intention from that person into those elements and becomes alive for the first person. And then that person makes a couple of them to show somebody else. And usually most people have one prototype that's working. If they tried to reproduce 2 without showing somebody the first one, it probably wouldn't work. But they make one and they try, it doesn't work. Make one, try, it doesn't work. They might show somebody all the different tries they had, but when they show somebody one that works, they show that one to somebody, and those elements that were once seemingly inanimate got recharged by his intention, his work, his effort, his belief. And those things made plastic, bolts, circuitry, all those kind of things work together to become what seems living, but in an astral form to its fullest degree. It can project different astral forms. What do people do? We're the projection of many different physical forms with astral beings inside. I mean, this all makes complete sense to you, I hope, because it should. Because as time goes on, I get more articulate and I get more pinpointed, accurate information. Like, I mean, today I heard a message I didn't want to hear either, because it tells me stuff that I don't want to hear about my kids. And basically, it was okay to tell everyone in my family except Matt, because even though I hate to say it to people, like, I adopted him, but he's still my son, completely. Like, there's nothing in him that isn't my son. He's completely my son. And he's God's son, but I, as Dan, looked at him as my son, not as not my son at all. It's just every once in a while when I talk to people that know that I adopted him, I say, well, he's not my blood son, but he's mine, completely. Like, when I talk to his mom, I say that because he's her blood, but he's my son. And she even says it too. She's like, no, he's your son. She loves me enough to know that, but she just won't see she loves me, because it would embarrass herself and it would go against her vibrational belief system to say she loves me out loud. Deep down, I think she does. But it doesn't matter. Actually, deep down, I know she does. But I don't want to say that to her, because that would be intruding in her free will, and that would be proving something. That would be a sign of proof. You can prove something to people without asking them first. Because if I was to ask her, do you love me, Jen? She'd say no. And then if I was like, really? And like I said that, she'd feel my vibration, and that vibration of me going, really? Would be like her thinking, but I love you. And she'd be like, well, you know, I loved you at one point in time, so she'd like clarify herself, and I could easily, over a period of time, get her to tell us she loves me. Actually, and I could keep riding that vibration and make her want to marry me all over again. But I wouldn't want to do that to her because it would be unfair to her. You know, it'd be fair to me as a person because she's a great person and I can have a wonderful life with anybody now. Wonderful life with anybody, male or female. That's the craziest part. And I don't want to do anything with no male. That's weird. But then, you know, that's why I need to stay out of doing astral projections or out-of-body travels to feminine bodies because, well, but I mean, I'm Adam and Eve, and I'm in control of my thoughts, so actually I can do that. That's weird. I'm Adam and Eve. How weird is that? That's why God showed me how he made people. I mean, it all makes complete sense, but people are like, yeah, it just is an imagination. I'm not trying to think about this stuff. I'm trying to get it off my mind. I want to just clear my mind and go to work right now. My mom's like, make sure you clear your mind on the way to work. You just had a crazy day. I'm like, yeah, I want to clear my mind and go to work. But I can't. This is important stuff. And like, if I ask, they'll let me. But then I feel like if I have more information to give while I'm channeling, why wouldn't I want to give it? This is important. But then it actually just goes back into me talking about myself, which seems like I'm doing proof. But really, it's just like me proving something to yourself is okay. You're allowed to improve. I'm prove. Improve yourself. Don't worry about proving yourself to other people. Like, you don't hear of, you know, disapprove. I mean, disapprove is a word where you don't approve of somebody else. Approve, you know, those kind of things are like somebody doesn't approve of you doing it. That's taking somebody else's word over your own. That's not good. You don't do that, whether it seems right or not. If it seems right to you, do what seems right. If someone tells you they don't want you to do something and you want to still do it, then do it, because it's leading you to where you want to go, whether it seems bad or good or whatever. But you're not going to think, I need to kill somebody right now. You're not going to think that. So you shouldn't think that. I mean, I don't know everybody's mind just yet, and I want everyone to have their own. I want them to do their own thing. That's why people that become enlightened know that the dangers of being enlightened are, you know, if you start talking to too many people, everyone's going to come crowding you and wanting to see your miracles. I wonder if Sadhguru and those people actually have ever performed any miracles for them to actually consider themselves. Well, he doesn't consider himself a guru either. He doesn't call himself a mystic, you know. Well, actually he does, but he doesn't consider himself God because he hasn't touched that spot. Things like the things that are happening to me are not happening in his life. He does weird stuff and says he closes his eyes and he seemed that he woke up 13 days later. Well, I've way surpassed that. I go into the future and go into the past and come back into this time with total consciousness. And then I interpret the messages to people, and then it's right on. It's spot on. And I'm reading people's minds in time, space, in the now. I'm reading people's minds in the now, in front of them. Not meaning to. Not even trying to. The point is I'm not focusing on them to learn what they're saying or try to figure them out. I just hear them say it before they say it. I saw it through my son's eyes today. I saw, like, not that I imagined. He's sitting across the room looking at the wall that would be behind my head. And I saw the wall behind my head because I was looking at the fork I had in my hand that to him looked like a pencil. And he said it looks like a pencil. And I was like, I thought to myself, I wonder how it looked like a pencil. And it showed me how it looked like a pencil to him from like the reflection of the couch behind him and the blanket on it with the combination of the sun coming through the window, the tree and the blue curtain that was behind me, and the tree and the sun on the thing made it sort of look yellow in the way the reflection was, and the way I was holding it when I put it down, I was holding it properly and I tilted it down. But anyway, I don't need to go too much into that. Like, I saw through his eyes and I could tell why he thought my fork looked like a pencil. And everyone else was like, it doesn't look like a pencil. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I saw it. And it actually freaked me out really hard because I saw through my own son's eyes. And it scared me. I mean, because I didn't ask for anything like that. Maybe I did, but not right now. Not up to this time-space continuum that I know of. Maybe I asked for it in the future. I mean, that sounds sort of funny, but I'm starting to realize that I can do things in the future, and the more competent and the more conscious I am and I pay attention when I go to those places, the more I can actually focus on when it happens, or when it did happen, in this time space. I mean, like, that sounds pretty intense, but when you only come up with this stuff when you're doing it, and you don't come up with it off the top of your head like blah, 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 like this, when you're not, I'm just trying to go, I just want to calm my mind down. I almost want to cry, because I want to show a sign to the higher beings that are within me that I want to stop, and it's scaring me a little bit, but they know, and they're inside me. And they're talking through me because they know that I need to get this out. And they know that I need to hear this. And I'm saying out loud, I'm channeling someone else right now, talking as Dan, trying to hold on to Dan, while another being that isn't quite God is talking through me. And I just don't know who it is just yet. And if I asked, it would take me through another whole level of something else when I don't want to. So I'm just letting this being, whatever be me, and I'm almost vibrationally equal. I wonder if it's Jesus. I'm not gonna, because if it is, and I find out next time I meditate, I'm gonna say, haha, Jesus, I'm almost fighting you off, but I can feel you talking through me, but you're allowing me to talk as myself, which is actually making me look crazy. So actually, I guess you're winning. You might have let me do this on purpose to show that you're stronger than me, which, wow. That was Jesus, because I figured it out, and when I figured out what he was doing, he's like, that's what I was doing, check you later, basically. He was like, see ya, I'll be back later. Holy shit, I was channeling specifically as Jesus just a minute ago, and I felt him leave and say, well, you figured that out, later. That's funny, like, because I thought I was holding him off, and he sort of let me talk for a second. I'm sure it's more on this tape than I know, because I was trying to do it at the same time, but I was both beings, and I didn't know who I was, and I figured it out, and he let me go. Or, you know, who knows? Until I astral project, I don't know for sure. That could have been another being that got offended that I said that, but I don't think it wouldn't have been a negative being, because I'm not open to negative beings at all. Like, it would have been a positive one, but maybe it was Krishna or Buddha or one of those guys. Or just even some other person that I don't know the name of the god yet. Because there's other gods in the divine realm, tons of them. I just don't know their names, so I give them faces. I give them, like, one's Sylvester Stallone, one's Hulk Hogan. You know, I've pictured God as Hulk Hogan before. I know it sounds sort of silly, but I have to incorporate something because I don't know what God looks like. You know, nobody knows what God looks like. And if you say everything, the other times that I see God is when his face is like, his whole body is, all his body parts are morphing from one animal to the next, from a person to the next, from a piece of a tree is his arm to the next. Like, he morphs constantly. Like, every little piece of his body and little pieces is morphing from one thing to another. Like I said, one eye would look like my dad's eye, the next eye would be my friend's eye, and the next eye would be Brittany's eye, the next eye would be an eye of a raccoon, the next one would be whatever, but it all stays proportionally like in a human shape, but it does it in ways that go through all beings, like whale, like one of his arms or legs will look like a whale thing with the flipper instead of a foot. You know, just weirdest stuff that doesn't make sense to other people that I can't put into words, but I'm trying to. But that's what God looks like to me. That way I know it's him when he shows up. It's either God shows up as that being that flashes from different body parts to other body parts, or he shows up as Hulk Hogan, because that's what I first originally tried to picture him as, because I was afraid of what he might look like when I actually was like, well, what do you look like? And he said, what do you want me to look like? I'm like, I want you to show me what you really look like. And that's when he sort of did that flashy being thing, and I was like, whoa. And he's like, well, who do you idolize? And I've always been like, well, who do I idolize? I don't really have any idols. And he's like, well, who do you idolize? Who have you idolized? And when he said that, he's like, I know. And he turned into Hulk Hogan. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I would have thought I idolized my dad more than Hulk Hogan. And they're like, no, you love your dad more than Hulk Hogan. But you don't idolize your dad more than Hulk Hogan because your dad didn't do what Hulk Hogan has. He's impacted the world. Your dad is impacting the world through you. And that's why you love him so much. But that doesn't make sense just yet. Like, I'm remembering that conversation I had with God now, and it was about 2 weeks ago. How weird is that? Anyway, some of the stuff is just too much for me sometimes. I love you guys. I gotta go. It's April 29th, I think, maybe April 28th.